Hi guys, Squall here, and welcome to another episode of This May Contain Nuts. Now, just want to say thank you very much for keeping your questions coming in. Please do keep them coming in. Very, very easy. Just follow me on Twitter, which is @SQRLTV, and then tweet your question with the hashtag TMCN. You don't need to mention me in the question. In fact, please don't mention me in the question. Just use the hashtag TMCN. And it's all good. That's all I need. But thank you for sending in the questions. It's great that we can do this regularly. I'm managing to keep it going weekly at the moment, so let's hope we can continue that way. I can then continue to answer your questions. So, what are we doing today? Well, look at this. I'm in the MEN TGX Euro 6. You should have seen a video earlier this week reviewing this thing. Very nice little truck, actually. We've got some pipes on the back, so I'm going to do a tandem pickup today. The actual trailer is just over the road there at Drakkar. Now, we are in Sundsvall, and we are heading over to... Actually, we're not going there. Where are we going? Wait a second. Job market. We are going to Jönköping, which is where we're going. Sundsvall to Jönköping down here. That's the journey today. It's about 500-600 Ks, I think. So let's jump inside here and get this thing fired up. I didn't notice the light was on the CB radio before. That's interesting. Okay. That is one of the nicest startup sequences I've seen in a truck. And I do like these lights, the lighting in here. I did say it in the video. I've got my little squirrel mug, courtesy of one of my Twitch followers, BCS. That is a little mod that you can chuck in there, and it gives you a little squirrel mug instead of the standard SCS mug. Yep, it's in the mod spreadsheet. If you want to use it, you will need the cabin accessories DLC from SCS though. That's the only downside. But the cabin accessories is kind of nice. It's nice to accessorize your truck, especially considering the little skull that you get moves. Look at this. You gotta love that. Of course, if you got the head bobbing dog as well, that bobs around. It's all fluff for your truck, isn't it, at the end of the day? It's not necessary, but it's nice to have. If you can't pick it up yet, maybe you'll get it in a Steam sale. Who knows? They're not far away. Christmas Steam sales cost me a fortune, they do. Steam has this way of making me buy games. It kind of seduces you into it. In a Steam sale every day, it's like, look, Paul, look at these games you'll never play. Why don't you buy them? You'll never play them. But they're on a massive discount, Paul, so you should get them. And I'm like, must resist. Okay, I'll buy them. Never play them, never install them. Got so many games like that, it's crazy. What is it about a sale that sends people into a frenzy? Like, they lose all sense of reality. And then just spend money. And even fight each other to spend money, sometimes quite literally. Let's get over here and pick this thing up. There's nothing particularly beautiful about this trailer we're picking up today. But it is a tandem trailer, and it's kind of functional. And I thought it went with the truck and the theme of the whole thing here. So let's get on with it, and then we'll start answering some questions. Must remember, this is a tandem when I back this thing in later. Okay, there we go. A little bit forward. There we go. Has, of course, got the little trailer arm. If you want to try this one, this is the low version. There's actually two versions of the chassis. There's a normal and a low. This is the low because the beam comes down quite low. It will tip the truck inwards slightly. It will tip the trailer inwards slightly, as you can see, which is what you want, because the alternative is the whole thing is just tipping backwards, and that's pretty dangerous. You don't want everything falling on the carriageway. Not that it'll happen in this game, of course, but you know, IRL and all that, it could. It's quite cool, isn't it? Look at this. Quite a length on this thing. We're going to have to make sure we turn correctly and leave a wide margin for these turns. But otherwise, it's going to be a fun trip, I think. I'm going to use the built-in sat-nav, which is on the dash that you can see there. Is he actually letting me out or not? Can't work it out. You never can second guess what the AI is doing. It sort of look like they're letting you out, and like that, they slow down and then they don't. If I was to indicate, you probably would, but then they don't leave you enough margin to get out, so I'd rather them just go past and get out the way, to be honest. Righto, we're on the road. 50 limit, let's do this. Some comments in my last video were saying that I drove a bit too slowly for their liking. Some people commenting that they like to drive around Euro Truck at 110k, 110 kilometers per hour in their truck. Well, I guess that's okay if you're used to playing GTA, but in Euro Truck Sim, I don't think that's really realistic. I was going a little bit slowly last time, but a lot of that was to do not just with sticking to speed limits. It was actually to do with pacing the video. So I've got a rough idea how many questions I want to answer. And if I'd have just gone at full speed, obviously you're going to get fewer questions answered. And the whole video is going to be over quicker. So I do also tend to pace it a little bit. I make no apology for that, you know. I mean, at the end of the day, I get to drive at whatever speed I want to. Lol. As long as I'm not going too quickly, I think that's fine. And not too slowly. But bear in mind that trucks are not like cars. And if you've ever driven a truck in real life, which I'm sure a lot of you have, but equally I'm sure an awful lot of you haven't, then one of the big differences between driving a truck and a car is the sheer volume of mass that you've got behind you. And it doesn't want to move quickly, you know? Particularly when you go around corners or changing direction, it will force you to go where it wants to go. And you've got to counter that. So if you drive it too quickly, you can easily flip it over. It can be very dangerous. Anyway, let's get on with TMCN questions, shall we? We're on the road, that's the main thing. First question, well actually, is from two people really, because they're related, so I've put them together. Is from Matty, Matt the Swampert, at Matt the Swampert. And he asks, "Hey Squirrel, here's my question. If you didn't become a YouTuber stroke live streamer, what profession would you have?" And there's also a related question, which I'm going to bunch up with it, from at Jacob Wilkinson. And Jacob asks, "Hey Squirrel, what made you become a YouTuber and what did you do so before YouTube?" Both of them asked the question exactly correctly. Just put the hashtag TMCN. They didn't, you know, mention me in the tweet, which is beautiful. Thank you very much, guys. And their questions are related, because the first question is, if you didn't become a YouTuber and live streamer, what profession would you have become, or what would you do? And the other one's saying, what made you become a YouTuber and what did you do before? So they're all kind of tied into each other. Kind of a potted history of what I used to do, I guess, is what's coming up. So let me just say, let me cast through my mind. When I was young and a sort of teenager and that kind of thing, I wanted to become an architect. So because I'm, how can I put it? Architecture is about a blend of art and, you know, creativity, but also technical know-how. Yeah, you've got to be technical and you've got to be creative and arty, and I have that kind of mixture. I have that strange mixture. My father was an artist, he painted a lot. My grandfather was an artist, he painted a lot. My mother couldn't draw for toffee, she was absolutely rubbish, but my dad's side was really good with art. But I also have a very technical mind, if you like, physics being one of my fortes, as it were, and I knew that I could become an architect. But then later on I started to do geology. I did geology at school, and I absolutely loved it. Really, really enjoyed it. I don't know what it was about geology, but I loved it. But I kind of realised that it probably wouldn't make the best career for me. I didn't like the idea of spending my entire life just digging up the floor and trying to find fossils and things and that kind of stuff. I wanted more in life than that, so I decided that wasn't for me. So then I decided, you know, in the background, by the way, I had a computer and I absolutely loved computing and gaming. That never, ever, ever went away. So in the back of my mind I was thinking I should do that, but then I was thinking, oh, maybe I should get into electronics. I did electronics at A-level when we did physics, and I completely did not understand it. Software, absolutely I can blast. Hardware, electronics, did not have a Scooby-Doo how that all works. Just couldn't get my head around an operational amplifier, and quickly realised, you know what, electronics is not for me. I also considered becoming a pilot. That was one of the things I was considering doing, but then basically computing won the day. I went to Sheffield Uni. When I was visiting various universities, I went to Sheffield Uni, really liked it, liked the look of it, loved the lecturer that was talking to me, and basically had to make a decision, you know, about what I wanted to do, and I decided to go and do a computer science degree. At that point, that committed me. That committed me into a profession. Once you've committed yourself to a degree, if you come out with that degree, then that's what you're going to be doing. Something related to that. Now, I have a passion for graphics, or I did have a passion for graphics. Bear in mind, back in the ZX Spectrum days and Atari ST days, you know, wireframe drawings were the norm. Then we had surface filled in graphics, which were like, oh my god, you know, next gen. And then we started to get shaded surfaces, and then we started to go on to various you know, texture mapping. Then we got things like Doom and Quake, which were 3D shooters, but they didn't allow you to pitch the camera. It was all what's the right word for this? Not yaw. Is it yaw? Yes, yaw. It would let you look around, but it wouldn't let you look up and down, if you see what I mean. So it did that for performance reasons. But then later on, you know, you started to get proper 3D graphics. I had a massive passion for graphics. However, whilst I was at university, I quickly realised that as much as I love computer graphics, essentially it's mathematics. That's what it is. At its core, it's pure mathematics. And I'm not a mathematician, I'll be honest with you. I can do maths. At a degree level, I did do maths, but mathematics is not my thing. It's not my bag. If you start going into the realms of abstract and pure mathematics, I am just completely lost. And that's where computer graphics goes. It goes into the realms of insane mathematics. So I thought, you know what, I won't be doing that. So I came out with a degree, and I started to develop business systems, you know. Relational databases were not a passion, I would say, but I could do them, I understood them. So that's what I did. I came out and started spending a few years as a developer. This is my potted history, by the way, of my profession. I'll round up the question in a minute, but this is what I was doing before I became a professional YouTuber. Hello, mate. Fancy your chances? I guess you do. What an idiot. You gotta love the AI in this game. So, yeah, I did business systems for a few years. Then I went on, obviously, team leader. Then I became an architect, developer, haha. Not an actual business, you know, building architect, but an architect of systems, a builder, a designer of systems. That's what I did. For a well-known corporation in the UK. I built a very important system for them. I won't go into any details. And then I became a sort of development manager where I looked after a team of developers, and then I kind of just got to this crossroads in my life where I just went, yeah, this isn't doing it for me anymore, you know. Building these systems, meh. So I decided, you know, I kind of got fed up of being a manager as well. I wanted to get my teeth back into actual building systems, but equally, I didn't want to, oh my god, I didn't want to get into the nitty-gritty details. I've written so much code in my life that it quickly becomes repetitive. And then this kind of platform called Salesforce was out, and I thought, you know what? If I went and started building systems on that, then I could basically, I could be a consultant, you know? I could go and actually create systems for businesses very quickly, solve real problems for them, enjoy myself doing it, not feel like I'm just writing repetitive code all the time, and just quickly assemble things and focus on the design side of it, the integration with other systems. So that's what I did. I went out and became a Salesforce consultant, trained up, got the certifications and all the rest of it. And whilst I was doing that, that's when my YouTube and Twitch were starting to take off. So I ended up in this situation where I was doing a full-time job, and at the same time I was trying to do come home and do YouTubing and Twitch live streaming, and it just became impossible. I was getting only a few hours sleep a day. My health started to go down, and very quickly I came to the conclusion I'm going to have to make a decision here, because both of these things, both of these mistresses in my life, let's ignore the wife for a second. Both of these kind of mistresses in my life are very demanding. My job and my Twitch and YouTubing are pulling me in different directions, and I have to make a choice. And it really came down to a question of the heart. I had to ask myself a very honest question. What do you actually love doing? What makes you get out of bed in the morning? What makes you happy? because that's the direction you need to go in. And that's what I did. I was very fortunate literally down to you guys, I was very fortunate in that I was able to make that choice and do this for a living, and that's when I jumped into it. It was a scary thing to do, going full-time, very scary. Relying, suddenly going from having a regular salary to having an unreliable income source is pretty scary. But that's what I did right up until the point, and what made me do it, what made me become a YouTuber, to answer Jacob's question, is that it was down to a choice of following my heart and following what I wanted to do for a living. Being able to build business systems is, and something that I've done for a long time, is no doubt I could walk into a job tomorrow, no doubt about it. With my CV, not a problem, but it doesn't get me out of bed in the morning. It doesn't, fill me with happiness. Doing this fills me with happiness, and that's what I want to continue to do. And just to wrap up the question from Matt the Swampert, if you didn't become a YouTuber and live streamer, what profession would you have? I guess I would be doing what I ended up doing anyway, which is building systems for businesses. That's what I would have been doing if I hadn't have got into this. I'd have still been doing it. Hope that answers your question, guys. Sorry for the very long answer, but you kind of have to understand where I was coming from and where I was going in order to kind of, stitch the thread through the whole story. Next question comes in from Thomas Balch. I'm not sure how we say your name, Thomas, so I apologise if I got that wrong. Hey, Paul. Why do you always drive a left-hand side truck? So I think what he means is, why do you drive with the wheel on the left over here and not over there? Because obviously I'm from the UK, I'm British, so why don't I sit on that side? Well, it's a fairly common question, Thomas, which is why I thought I'd answer it, and it's also a very, very easy one to answer. In Euro Truck Simulator, because you're driving all around Europe, the only country in Europe that doesn't drive on the right-hand side of the road and thus has the wheel on the left, the only country is Great Britain, the UK. Now, if you think about the map of Eurotruck for a second, you'll quickly realise that 90+% of it is not in the UK. And therefore, if you're driving with the wheel on the left, you're at an advantage, yeah? All cars, all vehicles on the road are built so that the driver sits, in quotes, in the middle of the road. So he is not next to the curb. And the reasons for that are very simple. They're all about visibility. If you think about it, if you're driving down a road and you're coming up on parked cars in front of you, if you're sat by the curb, you're going to need to overtake those cars, and you cannot see what is around the side of those cars. It makes it dangerous for overtaking for a kickoff. You need to be in the middle of the road like this so that you've got good visibility. And that's why I sit on the left here, because of visibility and because of 90% of the roads that I drive on in this game are going to be on the right-hand side. That's the simple answer to it. I think we're getting off here. Yes, we are. Next question comes from... Oh, I think it's another one from Thomas, actually. Another one from Thomas. He says, hey, Paul, what's the most feature you would like to see in Eurotruck? What's the most feature? I think that's what he's saying there is what feature would you want the most to see in Eurotruck? I think that's what he's saying. Hang on, let me just get around this bend here, and then we'll answer that one, because that is it's a pretty interesting question, actually. Whoa. Now, that happened because I felt a little bit of understeer around there when I powered through. You sometimes get on the heavier loads, depending on the chassis setup. That was not a driver error, I promise you. I powered onto 100% and the truck went straight a little bit. I hadn't spotted that before. I've driven some pretty heavy trailers with this truck, but it wasn't in this chassis configuration. So to answer your question, what feature would I want to see most in Eurotruck? Well, let me just list a few features that I would like to see in Eurotruck, and then we'll kind of go from there, yeah? So I would like to see the idea where you can buy your own truck and trailer and do multi-drops. So a bit like what it's quite a common thing amongst truckers. They'll take a trailer and they'll do, it'll be full of stuff, perhaps food, for example, and they'll multi-drop it at various They'll get it out the warehouse, you know, the big depot, and they'll take it to various stores. Like it could be a Tesco delivery, or it could be an Asda delivery, or something like this. And they'll drop at various sites. They might have 3 sites. You've got to do them all in the day. I'd like to see that kind of thing, owning your own trailer and doing multi-drop. I think I've heard SCS mention this before, but we'll see. It's not delivered yet. I'd like to see ferries with scheduled times. So you have to get to the ferry on time, and if you miss it, like if it's an overnight ferry, well, you're done, aren't you? Because you've got to wait for the next morning ferry, and that's going to make you pretty late. That'd be kind of fun. I'd like to be able to get outside of my truck and walk around it. I'd like to be able to check my load, like get outside the truck and walk around, check the load, make sure everything's secured down on my trailer, check my tires wearing out. If I don't replace my tires, then, you know, I might get a blowout on them. I'd like to be able to change my tires, you know, all that kind of thing. I'd like visible damage. I know it would require probably a new engine, but I'd like visible damage in this game. I'd like the idea where we crash into barriers and then there's visible damage on the truck and the barriers. Not essential, but you're asking what I'd like to have. I'd like that the AI doesn't cause accidents at your expense. So where you get rammed and then you get fined for it, I absolutely hate that. Or I'd like them to bring in some kind of an insurance policy system where I can take out an insurance policy, and, you know, if I do get rammed, hit and run kind of accident, then I can claim off the insurance. My premium might go up, but it won't cost me the earth. That's particularly, it's not so much of a worry now because I have a lot of money in the bank in this game, but in the early days of the game, oh my life, that is so useful. You can be doing like a €1,200 job, yeah? You get €1,200 if you deliver, and suddenly you'll get fined like €400 because of an AI hits you, and it's like a third of your profits gone straight away. Absolutely terrible. I'd like to be able to change the accessories on the trailer without visiting the mechanic. So, for example, if I pick up a trailer that is, you know, hydrochloric acid, for argument's sake, I can put an ADR sign on the front of my truck, or I can put my a wide load sign if I'm picking up a wide load, heavy load, or anything like this. I'd like to be able to, you know, change some accessories on my truck by just going to some, you know, truck options, as it were, rather than going down to a mechanic to do it, because it's a bit crazy having to go to a mechanic to do everything. So I'd like to be able to do that. This is a bit of a squeeze. There we go. I'd like the ability to own my own logistics company, like a VTC, and have it tracked via World of Trucks. And then I could invite you guys, like you drivers who want to be in the VTC, you could come and haul, and it would add up all the stats on the website, the miles we've driven, the deliveries we've made, all that stuff. It'd be really cool. Again, I think they've mentioned this kind of thing before. I think it's a medium to long-term goal, but I'd like that. And also, I'd like the ability to drive with friends. Like, this is common in games. Like, for example, if you take Farming Simulator, you can have a dedicated server, or you can host a local server on your machine, and you can invite up to 15 other people and they can come and farm with you. So what would be really cool is I could create a local or dedicated server perhaps, and just invite people, my Steam friends in, and we could all drive together. We could all, you know, bit of a convoy down the road. A kind of like a mini multiplayer. I'm not asking for like full public online servers with hundreds of people. I'm not talking on that scale. I'm just talking like mini servers, like mini multiplayer. I think it would be a really nice thing to have. So out of all of that stuff, they're all the kind of things that I would like to see in the game. If I had to pick the feature I would want the most, depends if I'm being selfish or not. See, if I was being all community and friendly and smiley with you guys, then I'd go either VTC. I'll probably go VTC so we can all drive for the same VTC. I could create School Logistics VTC and we could all drive that. If I wanted to play with friends and stuff, I would go for the mini multiplayer. Insurance, visible damage, probably not going to happen, not necessary. I guess out of all of them, I want to be able to get out of my truck. That's what I want to do. I want to be able to get outside of my truck, have a look around, kick the tyres, walk into a McDonald's, order a burger, get back in my truck, and just feel like a real trucker for a day. You know what I mean? That's part of the realism, the immersion, is at the moment you can't get out of your truck, so you lose that immersion, I think. So that would be the one I would go for. Get out of your truck and interact with the world a little bit. That's what I'd go for. The number one. Next question comes from Shannon Kearney. He says, will you be coming to any events in Australia in the future? Blimey. Now, having just been to San Francisco a couple of months ago and enduring a 10.5 hour flight, I think it was, I did not love a 10.5 hour flight. The idea of flying to Australia and enduring, what is it, anything between 18 and 27 hour flights, depending on whether you stop over or not. Oh my life, I think I can't even begin to imagine that pain. It's a long way from the UK to Australia, and it is quite honestly the other side of the world. It's a long way, it's very expensive to get there, and I would need a very good reason to go. And if I did go, I'd want to stay there for a while. So if I went to Australia, then I think I would probably want to spend probably 3 weeks visiting Australia and New Zealand, because there are some pretty amazing places down there that I'd want to go and see. I wouldn't fly to the other side of the world and then come back again a week later. That would be a massive no-no for me. So it would have to be, I don't know, maybe an event like there was a PAX Australia, perhaps, and I go down there, meet fans, and then go and tour Australia and New Zealand a bit. But the chances of that happening are pretty minimal. And the reason they're minimal is because I just can't take 3 weeks off. I cannot stop doing this for 3 weeks. Not because I'm addicted to it, just because it's a disaster. Like for YouTube, it's fine. I could schedule 3 weeks of videos, go away for 3 weeks, and you wouldn't even know I'd gone on holiday. You know, you've got your daily videos or whatever, and you're happy as Larry. When it comes to Twitch, I would come back to something that looked like Fallout 4. I would come back to a scorched landscape of a stream, because you can't take that kind of time off on Twitch. You got to keep the momentum going. So I don't know how I could make it happen. I don't know how I could get to Australia without causing a lot of damage on the way in terms of my streaming. So certainly at the moment, I have to say, Shannon, I have no plans to go to Australia, but I would love to see you guys one day, and also to visit New Zealand while I'm down there. How far have we got left? 2:36. We can do another question at least. Question from Nur Sayafik. I think that's how we say your name. He says, Squirrel, how hard was it to transition to full-time? Interesting question, that one, Nur. I planned it quite a bit. I think going full-time was 9 months in planning for me. I had to start to consider it seriously, then I had to work out how to make it happen. Then I had to work out how much I needed to save up to make it, you know, relatively safe, so that if it didn't work out, I could quickly go back to work and make it work. So there was a lot of planning got involved, and then of course resigning from your job, and that all gets very scary. Then when I went full-time, it was quite straightforward at first. I just played the games, did what I did, and then it started to get hard. And this sounds ridiculous. How can you go from doing a full-time job and doing this to then just doing this and it get hard? I can't explain it, but I'll try to explain it a little bit. But it was difficult, not at first. At first, I just went straight into it. I'm like, yay, I'm full-time, let's make videos, let's stream, woohoo! And then it became difficult, because I had no defined sleep pattern. I found myself, you know, doing it till 2, 3, even 4 in the morning sometimes, and then all of a sudden found myself getting up out of bed at midday, had headaches, like, because I was doing that kind of craziness. My schedule was all over the place, because when you're given that kind of ultimate freedom, when you don't have to get up at 7 o'clock to go to work, you don't have that kind of imposed structure in your life of somebody telling you have to do this at this time, you suddenly, at first, it's kind of weird and crazy, and you end up becoming disorganized. You very quickly become disorganized in your life, in your schedule, in your YouTubing, and you have to spend some time. And you also have this odd thing where, because you're now full-time, it's like you've walked into a candy store, and you're going, I want all of the things! You're like, I can play any game, I can play every game, I'm going to have this and this and this, I'm going to buy and install that and that, I'm going to play this, and you quickly realize, whoa, whoa, and then you start seeing comments from people saying, wow, this is pretty inconsistent, why are you even playing this game? Like, what? When are you going to do more Euro Truck? When are you going to do more of this? And that was when I was in the midst of the difficulties of transitioning to full-time. That's where it was, around about there. It was around about, I would say, June, July, is when the craziness was in full swing. And it wasn't long after that I put out a video and I said, look guys, you know, I am going to basically bring some order back to this, bring more consistency back to the channel. And this series is one of those things. It's one of those answers to the problem of consistency, is regular Euro Truck, you know, regular simulation. I've had to not buy Fallout 4. Let me just tell you how hardcore I'm taking this now. I've had to not buy Fallout 4. Now, the rest of the world is busy either playing or streaming or watching Fallout 4, and I'm not. I didn't buy it. And the reason I didn't buy it was because I knew I would get sucked into it. Fallout 4 is going to take people a minimum of 40, 50 plus hours to just even get through most of it, yet alone 100% it. Where does that end? Because the game has no real end. You can carry on base building. It's like Minecraft. So then you've got the addiction that Minecraft brings to gaming, where you can build things and take it down and restructure it. Oh, let's have some turrets up here. Let's have some walkways. Let's, you know, it's endless. And either I make that a massive part of the channel, or I have to completely not play it. And that's what I had to do. I had to not play it because it would be a distraction from everything else that I'm trying to do. Similar story with Star Wars Battlefront, which comes out in a few days' time when I'm making this video. Star Wars Battlefront's coming out. Last week was Call of Duty Black Ops. I streamed the campaign. This week was Fallout 4. I didn't touch it. Next week is Star Wars Battlefront, and at the moment I'm thinking I'm not going to touch it. Now, I've always been a Battlefield fan, and you know, Battlefield 3, Battlefield Bad Company, Battlefield 4, absolutely love those games. Even had many videos on my channel in the early days, but don't tend to cover it anymore. And so I'm again having to look at it with very hard-like eyes and saying, no, this is not right. If I get into that, it won't fit on the channel anymore. It will distract me from doing what I need to do. I need to be a Battlefield channel to cover that kind of thing. And also, if I'm being 100% honest with you, as much as I like Star Wars and as much as I like Battlefield, I kind of find Battlefront to be a little bit too pew-pew for me. Because there is no bullet drop, I'm kind of a fan of... I'm happiest when we're talking World War II, that kind of genre, when there are no stupid, you know, kill streaks or gunships or, you know, things, AC-130s flying in the sky, just crazy madness. Everything's with skill. Bad Company 2 was a skill-based game for me. I loved it to death. I still love it. You know, you've got to take into account bullet drop when you're sniping. There are no craziness happening. There's just explosives and tanks, and it's just skill. I love it. Battlefront is pew-pew. All the guns are necessarily laser-based, and so you just point and click. There is no gravity drop, because why would there be? It's just an energy weapon. It's not affected by gravity. It has no mass. Yeah, I'm getting a bit of physics there, but you see the point. It's all pew-pew. There's lots of explosives. You can jump inside these walkers and just smash people's faces. And I'm just like, do I want to get... Am I going to enjoy this, or is it just going to annoy me? So, again, I'm at the moment thinking, nope, I'm just going to ignore that one as well. So, it kind of seems a bit crazy, but I'm taking these top-title AAA star games and ignoring them. And the reason I'm ignoring them is so that I can keep my channel consistent. Look at that sunset. Wowzers. So I would say the transition to full-time was easy at first, then it became an absolute mess, and out of it I have emerged knowing what I want to do and organising myself to do it. With responsibility, what is it? With great power comes great responsibility, that's what they say. So, because I now have the power to choose what I want to do, I now have to be responsible with that power. And that has been the learning curve for me. man, I tell you what, I know the frame rates in Euro Truck are not what they used to be, but that's the cost right there. The expense of having these amazing sunsets. I mean, yeah, I could dial some of the details down and get my frame rates back, but I don't know. I see graphics like this on other games and the frame rates are fine. I kind of think they need to optimize a little bit. Do you hear that, jet? That's not outside your house. That was so cool. It's a pro mod thing. Because there's meant to be... Whoa! There's meant to be a... bye-bye gearbox. There's meant to be a Saab factory nearby, you see. Saab, of course, make jet fighters. And that is the local Air Force. Wow, he had a tandem as well. That guy who went past the first one did anyway. I think we're pretty close. 64Ks. I don't know if I've got time for a question. Okay, let's do this one quickly. Out of Control Video says, what would the ultimate game be for you? Maybe as far-fetched as possible. And what would the biggest feature you would like in Euro Truck? Well, I've kind of done the feature in Euro Truck. I'll ignore that bit. What is the ultimate game? Let me tell you what my ultimate game is. And I hope somebody will build it before I depart from this earth, as it were. Basically, it's something like this. If you take the open world aspect of GTA, right? So the ability to do anything, to shoot anything, to just go and, you know, steal from shops, raid petrol stations, blow up things that you see in the street, have firefights. Take that. Combine it with simulator level detail, right? So I'm talking about you jump inside a bus and it's like OMSI level detail, if not more. You get inside, if you don't know how to operate the bus, you probably can't even start it. And even then, when you drive it, the physics are real, just like the bus. It has realistic amounts of physics. If you was to go and jump on an aircraft, it wouldn't be like a GTA aircraft. If you nicked a 747 off the runway, like you can do in GTA, well, you better know how to cold and dark start up a 747 if you want to take that bad boy off. Yeah, same with the trains, etc. We'd smash that together with MMO aspects, like the massively multiplayer online. So it would be me and thousands of other people in there. You know, we'd all be doing our own thing. We'd all be possibly fighting and stealing for the same, you know, fight for the same territories, stealing from the same shops, trying to blow each other up like they do in GTA. And then on top of all that, we'd bring in terrain deformation and soft body physics and construction aspects as well. So a bit more like, you know, so the aspects of Minecraft where we can build things, we can construct buildings, so we can pay to have them made, make our own offices and that kind of thing, or homes that you want to live in. So you could build your own condo or house on the side of a hill like in GTA. You could build that because you've got the money now. Or you can make a massive warehouse and start a distribution center. You could coordinate with other players, you could create your own companies, do deals with them. You could say, look, I'm manufacturing this stuff in this warehouse. Why don't you, because you do trucking, why don't you deliver it all to local shops where other players are running the shops and they're selling the goods. Do you see where I'm going with all this? I guess what I'm saying is, I want real life inside a computer. I think that's almost what we're trying to get. And I think ultimately that's where everything's going. Like, it's no coincidence that more games head in that direction of ultimate freedom, where you can experience things that you can't do in real life. Like in real life, you know, you're not going to be able to stand on top of a massive skyscraper and then just jump off, just for the lols, and see what happens when you hit the floor. You know, you're not going to do that in real life, but in games you can do it. You've got the freedom to do whatever you like, and I think that would be my ultimate game. Is that kind of, like I say, blend of, but not arcade. I don't want it like GTA. I want it simulation level. I want the physics and all the vehicles to be sim-like, so that it is difficult, like, to shoot people or to crash into people. It is difficult to drive things. It's not arcadey like GTA, and I think that would be... Why's my sat nav just suddenly gone a bit crazy? That would be pretty amazing. Why is it telling me to turn around? Have I gone the wrong way? I thought it went down here. Hang on a sec. Oh, apparently it was. Did I just go... I was too busy waffling. I don't know how I did that. Oh, it was a turn-off. I got it in my head that I was going to the roundabout. It was actually just a little junction here. I didn't spot that road. It's night time, that's why. Wow, this is a narrow dirt track. Look at this. I hope that answers your question. House of Control videos, hope that answers your question. That's my ultimate game. That's as far-fetched as I want to be. I want to be able to do the things in a game that I can't do in real life. That's probably where that's coming from. This is a lovely evening delivery. Look at this. Doesn't it look great? Gorgeous scenery. I think we're on time. I've not heard the annoying "you're late" music yet. Well, I've answered a few questions there. Hopefully, in a little bit of detail. I've got a number of questions left from the original set, and then I'm going to start digging through that TMCN sideline and looking for some more. So make sure, guys, you keep the questions coming. You just follow me on Twitter. Create a Twitter account if you haven't got one. It takes 10 minutes. Even if you don't use Twitter. But if you do, if you follow me on Twitter, then you'll get updates. Like, I tweet out whenever I'm streaming. I tweet out whenever I'm put out a video. It gets pushed out to Twitter. So even if your YouTube sub box is broken, which, let's face it, we all know happens occasionally. Even if that's the case, you're still going to then get the tweet if you follow me. And also, you can just interact with me, You can see what I'm posting about. What's going on in my life. If I post pictures on my Instagram, then... hey, that's not right, is it? If I post pictures on my Instagram, they'll also get out on my Twitter. Same with Facebook. So Twitter's kind of the melting pot of updates. So it's kind of useful to have anyway. Oh my god, I'm making such a mess of this. You can see that part of the problem is it's... this thing's pretty long. If we can just borrow this guy's hedge. Hit the wall, are we? No. You see how quickly it jackknifes? There we go. So if I can do that now. Just about, okay. And let it follow around. This is actually a tricky reverse, There we go. The mechanics of this behave very differently to an articulated trailer. As you can see, it swings from one side to the other really, really quickly. Just the slightest touch there, and it's off. But if you can near side reverse it, it kind of compensates for the lack of view in the mirror. There we go. Now, hopefully we didn't get too much damage, if any. Let's have a look. Job completed. Yay! No penalties. It's all good. No penalties at all, I'll take that. Alrighty then. Parking brake engaged. Of course it is. I think we're going to have to leave it there, I'm afraid. That's it for this episode of This May Contain Nuts. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please give me a like if you enjoyed that. Don't forget to leave your comments. Let me know if you're enjoying the series. But if you want to ask a question, do it on Twitter. I will not lift out questions from the comments. That's all from me. Take care, guys. Happy trucking.